Hello guys and welcome back to Dylan's Little Hobbies, and in today's video I am going to be simply doing a small little update on my fish tanks. I haven't updated you guys on my personal fish tanks for a while. Of course I showed them off in videos, but I haven't actually told you guys about what's been going on in the tanks. So in today's video I want to do that. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start with the big tank, the 32.5 gallon Blue Volt Megaflex, full of shell dwellers. And when I say it's full of shell dwellers, I mean full of shell dwellers. I have just completely exploded in baby shell dwellers. I'm waiting until they get to a certain size. Well, once they start gaining some color to them, like when you look at the babies, they're still like really clear and small. They obviously don't have adult coloration, and it's not very good to transport fish when they don't have at least some type of not full adult coloration, but adult coloration. These guys still look like they're only a couple months old. The thing about shell dwellers is it takes about a year for them to get to adulthood, which for many fish, it only takes a couple months. Shell dwellers takes about a year. So I might have these guys for a little while longer, but once the shell dwellers get to a certain size, then because I have so many in this tank, I believe I counted 15 babies and 10 adults. I'm going to have to sell some of them or give some of them away or do something, so I'm probably going to give them to my local fish store. It's probably like an hour away or something like that. I'm probably gonna have to go down there and just give them away because I have way too many in this tank, but I really am loving this tank. Something else about this tank that I wanted to talk about is look at my plants. My plants are doing fantastic. I absolutely am having a blast with my plants. Obviously, I haven't trimmed them down. I think the last time I trimmed them down was like maybe a couple months ago. And they get so big within like 3 months, and then I have to trim them down again. But this tank is doing fantastic in terms of that. Now, you might ask, where are my cory cats? The fact is, here's the thing. When I had the cory cats in this tank, yes, it was super fascinating because the shell dwellers had something to protect the fish, protect their baby fish from. And it was interesting to watch the shell dwellers defend themselves from the cory cats. Now, the cory cats aren't aggressive, so there was no threats to them, but the shell dwellers think that they're a threat. And so it was just interesting to watch the cory cats swim around and see the behavior of the shell dwellers. But as the shell dweller population grew in the tank, the cory cats kind of got stuck in a corner. Like, they were simply stuck in a corner, and the shell dwellers wouldn't let them leave that corner. Now, granted, they were eating fine, just hanging around, but cory cats do need some room to swim, and the shell dwellers were taking up everywhere else except that one little corner. So I decided, you know what? I wanted to get more fish for the 9 gallon, but I simply said, I used to have red tetras in the 9 gallon, but they died when I moved. It's been a while since they died. I wanted to get some more red tetras, but I was really enjoying the way the tank looked. I decided not to get the red tetras, and I decided to put the cory cats in the 9 gallon. So let's show you guys the 9 gallon. I decided to put the cory cats in the 9 gallon so that they would have room to swim. But of course, with me putting the cory cats in the 9 gallon, I had to change some of the aquascape up. That way there would be more room on the ground, because tetras they're not ground dwellers. I wanted to make sure there was room on the ground for the cory cats to swim through, so I changed the aquascape just a tiny bit, and this is the way it looks now. This is the way it looked before, and this is the way it looks now. and it looks absolutely fantastic. I really do enjoy it. Now, you will notice that I do have snails in both of my aquariums. I don't mind snails, they eat algae, who cares? But in my Fluval Flex, the Mega Flex, let's go ahead over to the Mega Flex again. The Mega Flex tank has too many of them. Like, they're not breeding in a 9-gallon. I don't know why. I don't have very many in 9-gallon at all. But in the Mega Flex tank, they're breeding like crazy. And here's the problem with snails. If you get snails, it's okay for a small population of snails. But when they start breeding, then they start eating all of the algae, and then they have no food source, so they start dying off, which then causes algae, and then you don't have a snail crew to eat up all the algae because they all died and they're rotting in the tank and causing more algae. It's just a headache. So to do something about it, you have to remove some of the snails. So I have currently, every now and again, go in there and I catch like maybe 15-20 snails. I don't want to remove all of the snails. I don't. But I don't want them to get overpopulated in this tank because it's supposed to be a fish tank and not a snail tank. And if they do get overpopulated, I'm worried about them eating all of the algae, not having anything to eat, and then dying off, causing more algae and no snails to eat the algae anymore. So to deal with that, I just simply remove some of the snails every now and again. But other than the snail so-called problem, which really isn't a problem, it's kind of a good problem to have. Other than the snails, it's actually doing a fantastic job in this aquarium, and I'm really enjoying the Fluval Megaflex. I gotta trim down some of those plants, but this tank is doing absolutely fantastic. Alright, and I moved the Cory cats about 2 months ago, right? And I should have took video of what the tank looked like before, but this tank was overgrown again. I just did a water change and a trim down on this tank, so this is the way the tank looks now. And again, here is the trim down on the big tank as well. I don't think the tank ever looks that good after I trim the plants. I really like the overgrown look of the tanks, but when I have to trim it down, it never looks good again for like about a month, and then it looks good for about 2 months, and then I have to trim it down and it looks bad for like a month. That's just how I feel. But yeah, those are the tanks. They are doing fantastic. I love both of them. And that is about it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I am out. Bye.